Hello to all and welcome back to War Thunder Aviation. I'm Brother Templar, and before we get into today's video, I just want to make a quick apology. The reason why I haven't made any videos on the channel last couple of weeks is because I've just been doing the final parts of my course and just getting all of the last pieces of coursework done. And that's what I've been very busy doing for the last couple of weeks. But luckily it's all pretty much done now. As I'm sure you all now know, those of you who've been following me on Twitter. So, yeah, I thank you very much for your patience, and do remember to go and follow me on Twitter if you haven't already. That's where I do votes, that's where you can get in contact with me if you want to talk to me, and that is where I put updates on what's happening with the channel, and I'll tell you anything interesting that happens in my life there as well. So yeah, definitely do head there if you haven't already. One other thing I do just want to quickly say is that I now have a new sort of mascot for the channel, if you will, and that is on the main photo for my channel and on my Twitter and what have you, as you can see right now. And I'd quite like it myself. I think it looks pretty good, very British, everything you'd ever want and more. So yeah. I'm pretty happy with where the channel's going now, adding a bit of professionalism to it. I like that a lot. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into the video for today. Salve, and welcome aboard the BR20 DR. Now, I'm sure many of you who have attempted to fly this glorious aircraft before may have found it a bit difficult, or perhaps even thought that it's a not very good aircraft, but you'd be completely wrong, as this aircraft is everything you would ever want and more, and I'm here to show you exactly how to fly this aircraft correctly, as to prevent you from making any more mistakes, whilst flying such a glorious piece of Italian engineering as the BR20 DR is. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you about this aircraft and how to fly correctly is dive bombing, because this aircraft, as you can see by its design, is basically a Stuka in disguise. Now, all you have to do is simply forget all the flak fire, luckily these Russians can't shoot for shit, drop both of your 800kg bombs, and run like bloody buggery. And there you go. 7 ground kills in the space of only a few moments. So next on what you want to do is flip it around 108 degrees, abuse that super fast roll rate. I mean, look at that. It's basically a Fokker Wolf in disguise, if we're perfectly honest. And go back on your merry way, where you can now start doing the actual rolls of this aircraft. That's right, those crafty Italians made this aircraft look like a bomber, but in reality, it's not. In fact, what this really is an air superiority fighter interceptor. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the single best aircraft in the world when it comes to intercepting hostile fighters and achieving total aerial supremacy. And if you don't believe me, well, all I say is simply watch this. So all we quite simply do is fly over that fighter, it's of no significance to us, and we get onto the tail of that hostile Peshka 3 as we engage interception mode of the BR20. So as you can see, that one front-firing 30 caliber machine gun is ripping massive holes into his aircraft. I mean, look at that thing, it's practically ripped apart already. But it does appear to be firing back, so I'm going to go evasive maneuvers and once again abuse that fast roll rate. As you can see there, rolled straight out of danger. And as the hostile aircraft does appear to try and get away, we shall follow it in. And oh, it would appear that that hostile Peshka 3 has now set ablaze and proceeded to crash into the ground. All thanks to yours truly, of course. I mean, let's be honest here, if it wasn't for me taking massive chunks out of its fuselage and basically rendering it not only completely immobile, but completely defenceless against our dear allies, then I ask you quite simply, my fellow people, how could they have shot it down? Well, to put it briefly, they couldn't have, therefore making it an assist for the BR20. And although I didn't get an assist for it, that's just the game being silly. It probably saw that I got so many kills intercepting hostile aircraft over my time flying this aircraft that it thought I didn't need another one. But as to make up for it for you dear people, I've decided that I'll go over here and just clear the skies of the enemy fighters. As you can see, they are causing quite some trouble with my allies, and well, we need an aircraft that when it was designed, dogfighting and manoeuvrability were the two highest priorities. Therefore, I could assume no other role than engaging these hostile fighters and gaining total aerial supremacy for my team. And as you can see, our ally is getting incessantly followed by that Lag 3, so it is my duty to go and save his life and get rid of that horrid potato munching Rusky off his tail. Ah. Well, I mean, you know, it doesn't count as a kill, so technically he wasn't shot down, and maybe he survived. I mean, people have survived harder crashes. Maybe. Who knows? But what I do know is that I'm going to definitely take out this lag as to prevent it from being any more of a nuisance to our allies. And as you can see, I have already set a trap on him, where I have now forced him into a dogfighting engagement, something that he simply cannot win with an aircraft as manoeuvrable as this. And as he thinks that he's got the advantage, he's fallen into yet another step of my trap. As you can see, I let him follow me thinking that he has the upper hand, but in reality my 230 caliber dorsal turret machine guns will show him exactly what he really has. That being, well, death. But that is only part 2 of the learning process on how to correctly fly the BR20. And in fact, we still have one more lesson to go. But before we get to that lesson, it's time to recap on what we've already learnt today. So, step 1. Dive into enemy heavy flak fire and drop your bombs randomly over their ranks as they rush across open field. And then, step 2, engage hostile aircraft until you have total aerial supremacy. As already said, this aircraft is absolutely unstoppable when it comes to a turn-fighting dogfight. Which brings us to the third lesson of the day, which is proceed to strafe out enemy vehicles on the ground. But I hear you ask, this aircraft is not designed for strafing enemies out on the ground, and you'd be completely right. I mean, look at it. It's large, it's cumbersome, there's no way it can effectively attack enemy vehicles on the ground with its machine gunners. It's just simply ridiculous, and if you thought that was actually going to be the real step 3, you are absolutely mad. I mean, really, this is supposed to be a serious video, okay? You know, we're not here for messing around, and as I will prove once again, it's just not worth it. It is a terrible idea with an aircraft like this. I mean, seriously, when was the last time you heard of an aircraft like this trying to strafe out enemy vehicles? It's ridiculous, it's preposterous, it would never happen. No. You see, the actual step 3 is something that's a little bit more obvious, something that I'm sure many of you have already heard before, and as I will now demonstrate, it's something that, you know, I'm sure you've all seen 100 times. This is a standard thing that all military and aviation forces did during the Second World War, but it's quite simply land right next to the enemy tanks as they proceed, going head-on of course. It would be rude not to go head-on so they can see you approaching, and simply land right beside the enemy vehicles, and, while doing so, make sure to open fire at them with your machine gun. And as you can quite clearly see, it's very effective, if I do say so myself. So as you can see, all you now have to do is open fire on these hostile tanks, and they won't fire back or anything, don't worry, because if they were to fire back, that would simply be unsporting, and is not something I, or anyone who is fighting a war sensibly, would ever do. Although, unfortunately, some of these more uncouth tank members have decided to armour their vehicles to make them bulletproof, which is just completely unfair and very unsporting. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, how on earth do they expect me to get some kills while they're armoured in such a way to prevent machine guns? It's just completely irresponsible and unfair. So, if your enemies are simply just not playing ball, then just ignore them and take back off again, because you just don't want to associate yourself with these types of people. Although if you're still quite frustrated for them not playing ball, simply take off and nuke the site from orbit. After all, it's the only way to be sure. And there you go, those are the top 3 lessons I can provide you on how to properly fly the BR20 as what was historically accurate. Although there is one other thing about Italian aircraft that many people don't tell you, and it's something I didn't really want to give out because, if I let people know about this super secret, then, they won't fall for it, you see. And no, it's not the fact that the dorsal turret can aim in 2 different directions, that, I'm sure is supposed to be like that, and isn't just because, this aircraft is still quite early access and is still quite buggy. No, you see, the best thing about Italian aircraft is that when enemy aircraft see you coming in for a landing seemingly nowhere, they assume that you've probably broken down, as is the way with most Italian aircraft. Well, most Italian vehicles in general, that is. And as you can see, that I-16 flies right over my head, thinking that I'm about to break down, as is the common occurrence with most Italian vehicles in general, but in reality, I have not, and I'm actually better than ever. Now I'm on his tail, and he hasn't got a clue, still assuming that I'm sitting on the ground waiting for some kind of roadside recovery. Although that was a field, so maybe it's a field-side recovery, if there is such a thing. And so, I'll leave you for the last parts of this video to show you truly what happens if you take into account every single step of my teachings and use them flawlessly, what you can achieve in the BR20. So I thank you very much for watching, and do enjoy.